Why are you here?
What?
Not you. Mike is in the room.
I was like, excuse me.
Tuck in your whole shirt there. All right, let's get things going. Hey, I'll get a speech or two out of the way just to get started. Hey, a couple people, hey, I'm struggling with this. I don't know what I'm doing, right? Obviously, today is practice day. I said it yesterday. Some of you don't need to do 20 of these. However, I am going to make you do 20, and I want you to confirm. I won't make you do 40 of these, but I do want you to do 20 of these, even if you think you have a solid grasp. Some of them you might recognize a pattern. So for the smarty pants out there, your job is to do the 20. Try to recognize some special things occur occasionally when you do this.
Is this sheet?
Right? You're going to figure that part out. The rest of us, right, are simply going to do this because we need to practice on this. Okay? I cannot overstress how important it is a binomial times a binomial. Your ability to pass next chapter depends upon can you do what we're doing right now, literally, right? No joke. You're like, I don't understand why. It takes too long of an explanation. But this thing, next chapter is called factoring, and factoring means you have a solid command of what a binomial times a binomial, what happens. Secondly, this can't devolve into a whole bunch of talking. This needs to be working. I don't mean no silence or anything like that, but it's got to be working. There's none of this excuse of I'll do it in an essay, Rowan, or I'm going to do it later on. I'm actually giving you classwork today. We're going to not run through the slides. We'll run through it as fast as you guys can take it. We'll go through the slides, and then you need to be doing some work. So I'm not sure if Aiden can sit where he's seated next to him. I'm not sure if Sierra can sit where she's seated at right now. And then Chris, I'm not sure if you can, because they're going to sit there and do their work, and they're going to be done in about 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then they will be done and get you distracted. If you guys can sit where you currently are at and work, I don't have a problem with that. But I will quickly move you if I don't see work going on. All right. I'm not going to actually go over the homework, right? Because the homework is a repeat of what we're about to do. So if you did this correctly, great. If you didn't and you still have some questions, let's do a quick class. Ask your questions then. Okay? So all I'm going to do right now is, well, once this is all done, I'll hand out the worksheet, and then I will collect your homework, right, that you did, and then allow you to use the classwork. I fully anticipate that it's just 20 questions. Everyone in here should be so close, if not finished, the homework tonight in class. That means, basically no homework. However, the homework actually is the worksheet. Yes. You will not need a math book. All right. So we will not do 4-7 today. We were going to do. Why do you do this to me all the time? All right. We will do 4-6. We'll call it 4-6B, which is just a repeat. 4-7 is working with formulas. I'm skipping that one for you guys, and we will not have that on the test. So the test will be Friday. We'll do a chapter review tomorrow, and we'll take the test. The chapter test is going to be on nothing but polynomials. You're going to need to be able to add and subtract them. You're going to need to be able to multiply them, power to a power, and then binomial times a binomial. I will do a monomial times a polynomial, but the one that we're doing today and yesterday as well too. That'll be the whole test. It is, if you don't make many mistakes, like computational mistakes, it is an easy A. It is one of the easiest tests that I will give you. Agreed, but I also am going to add the part that this requires you to be able to do computations. So for those of you that drop negatives and do stuff like that, it doesn't turn into a true easy A in the sense of like, wow, look, I got 90% of people got an A, because I'll have people make silly math mistakes. I'm just saying intellectually wise, what we're doing, it's pretty basic. Okay. If you paid no attention, it's not an easy A by any stretch of the imagination. But if you paid attention, right, you tried, this is an easily passable test. All right. Chapter 5, boy, that's a butt kicker. All right. So worksheet today. So really briefly, now you can stop me if I go too fast, if this is what you're stuck on. I showed you 3 methods of doing this. You only need to know one method. Last night for homework, it said do it the vertical method, then use the distributive property, right? They wanted you to try all the methods. Today, you get to pick and choose. If you like the vertical method, then use that. If you don't like it, then use the distributive property. If FOIL, probably no one's using FOIL, but if FOIL made sense to you, then use FOIL. All right. It is a crazily important class. No, I just literally just said that, but it's super important. You won't see the importance of it until chapter 5. If you can do this, then you can do any of this. Now, we're not going to always do 2 days on difficult concepts, but just remember, Algebra 1 from now on, every single day you get new stuff, and it just piles on pretty quickly. So you can figure out whether you pass or fail just by how well you do on this one class. Here we go. That was from yesterday. We started talking about the previous homework from yesterday, which was a monomial times a binomial. We use the distributive property, right? And then we get to the answer. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 4 is 8x. Today we do a binomial times a binomial. So probably the preferred technique for many of you was the distributive property. So I highly, highly, highly encourage you to put the arrows. Remember the methods we had was FOIL, distributive, and the vertical method. I did not show you the table method, but if you were flipping through your book last night doing your homework, you saw how they did the table method and the distributive property is put in a table. So the two big ones that people use are the distributive or the vertical method. I like the vertical method, but you don't have to use the vertical method if you don't want to. So here we go. So the calculation looks like this. We start with the number in the first binomial that's closest to the parentheses, the 3. We see if 3 is positive or negative, it's positive. We distribute that to both terms on the inside of the second binomial. I put an arrow and I write the answer. I don't put 2 arrows and then write the answer. 3 times x is 3x, I write 3x. I write the second one, 3 times 4 is a positive 12. My other arrows, you can do them on top as well, but it gets kind of messy. I put them underneath. So we go to, well, we already did the 3, we go to the x. The x is positive. So it's x times x, which is x squared, and x times 4, positive 4, which is 4x. We see what we can group together. We can group together the 3x and the 4x, and we write them in standard form. Standard form goes from the highest power to the lowest power. So this is degree 1, this is degree 2, this is degree 1, and this is degree 0. So we go, 2, 1, 0. We can group the 3x and the 4x. So 3x and 4x is positive 7x. I saw a couple people in there doing this last night for homework. They weren't giving themselves a lot of space here. Probably that was kind of you, right? So just give yourself a little bit of space. And then let's see, cross those out, and we're just left with a positive 12. Now, it is your choice whether you literally do it like this. A lot of kids, kind of the smarty pants out there, will realize the only difficulty here is this middle term, right? Well, x times x is always the first thing. The last term is always these 2 things multiplied together. The one that you got to do your adding, subtracting are this times this and this times this. So a lot of the smarty pants kids will just look at this times this and they'll write that. This times this, they'll write that. And then they'll do a little bit of thought to this and this, and this and this, if that makes sense. If not, this is your technique. Yeah.
The only thing I'm having trouble with is like getting to where we got at the bottom.
Yeah, so you got where I got the x squared from, right?
Yeah.
So that's always going to be your first one because it's anything to the second power here.
4 plus 2 is
4x plus 3x. Now, occasionally one will be negative or they'll both be negative, so you got to be careful with that. And then the last one is always whatever that number is right there. Okay? So here's one with some negatives involved. So we use the distributive property. Positive 4 times 3x is 12x. Positive 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. Positive 2x times 3x is 6x squared. And positive 2x times negative 7 is negative 14x. Okay. Once again, like the smarty pants kids will say 2x times 3x, 6x squared. That's your first, right? Then they'll say positive 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. They'll put a negative 28, and then they'll think about the middle. The rest of us, we're kind of thinking like this. Okay. 12x minus 14x is Okay, and that's where you'll make your mistake is typically on that term. And then if you do make another mistake, it's you drop negatives or something like that. Okay, and there you go. It become a little bit harder if there's lots of negatives. I'm not going to give you crazy ones like where there's 4 different variables or anything like that. They're pretty much, this is what the test will look like. What's up? What do you mean between the negative 28 and the 6x squared? So you're talking about this row or the final row? This one. I would absolutely encourage you, since 6x squared was positive, to put a plus. What we were really doing was we were writing the product of 2 things together. We're like, what does it equal? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 individual answers there that I put together at the end. So could I put a plus here? Absolutely. Could I put a plus there? Absolutely. Okay. If that helps, do it. Okay. One with a bunch of negatives. Or this one has 1 negative. Sorry. Let's see. -6. This is the one you'll make a mistake on. -6 times 4x is negative 24x. -6 times a positive 3 is negative 18. X times 4x is 4x squared. And x times 3 is 3x. I mean, you're going to do 20 of these in about 5 minutes. So it will see a little bit repetitive, but try to, and I'm also going to give you all the answers too, so you can immediately check your work and catch your mistakes. Okay? So before x squared, group those together.
26.
Same or different signs.
Negative 26.
Same or different signs.
Negative 26.
Okay, negative 21x, and then minus 18. Okay. Just for those that might have liked the vertical method, I'll show you the vertical method really quickly. The vertical method is you take both of those, and it's like you're doing 24 times 13. You stack them, then you go 3 times 4, you write the answer, 3 times 2, bring down a 0 or go across, 1 times 4, 1 times 2, and then you add. Yeah. Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you. I just want you to realize that what you're doing in the vertical method is this, right? This procedure right here is the same, except we're multiplying x plus 3 and x plus 1. So you stack them. 1 times 3 is, and I write a 3. 1 times x is, right? You can write a 0 or you can just indent, your choice. X times 3 is, so remember if you were an indent, this would go right here. The nice thing about the vertical method is it puts them in the right order, stacks them perfectly. And x times x is, then when you add, 3 plus 0 is positive 3. X plus 3x is 4x, and x squared plus 0 is x. I mean, the vertical method is nice, right? It also allows you to visually see when you're multiplying by negatives a little bit more clearer. 4 times negative 4, or 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 4 times 2x, 8x. Indent or bring down to 0. 3x times negative 1, negative 3x. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. Add. Remember, that's a 0. Negative 4 and 0 is negative 4. 8 minus 3 is positive 5, and 6x. I mean, I like the vertical method. But if you don't have to use it. The only time I would highly recommend the vertical method is when it looks like that. Okay? When it's a binomial times a big honking polynomial. Put the one with the most terms on top, the second one on the bottom. The book put this over here. That seems silly to me. Because when you put it over here, everything lines up perfectly. Negative 4, negative 2x, negative x squared. When you indent, things will line up perfectly. 2x times 4 is 8. See, it lined up where it needs to go. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. The squares line up. And 2x times x squared is 2x cubed. And then everything lines up. You simply add and you're done. This changed my world when my math teacher showed me this. I was like, well, I've been doing it the wrong way. Because she only showed us FOIL. And I thought FOIL was ridiculous because you had to remember. And the pattern wasn't not nice. The distributive property is nice. I mean, you could do negative 1 times x squared, negative 1 times 2x, negative 1 times 4, and then 2x times that, 2x times that, 2x times. You get this thing that's this long. This is nice because it keeps everything nice and neat and lined up. All right, there's my final pitch for vertical method. Any questions on what we're doing today? How many am I giving you?
20.
It's 20 of them. And I'm giving you the answers. So you will know immediately whether you're doing it right or whether you're doing it wrong. Now, if you're already using the vertical method, I didn't give you much space because I didn't want to print out 2 different things. So if you want to use scratch paper, you can. That's just fine. And I don't expect silence. I don't need silence, but I do need to see work going on. What? You're gonna walk through here with that empty basket there and pass them out. So Rowan's coming around to grab your homework. Remember the answers are on the back here, so make sure you check your work.
I can do this.
You can do this. I know you can. I saw you do this. Am I short again? How is my count this far off?
You're just a short person.
All right, e-learners, I'm going to stop the video here. Haley, if you're on, are you on? I heard reports that there was a whole bunch of internet outages.
Dude, last night was annoying.
Yeah. I've had no one log on live today, so.
I got one.